Central New York's housing inventory is at a historical low, which means that the demand out there far exceeds the inventory. The amount of buyers that are out there just is substantial, and it is hard for your offer to stand out in a multiple offer competitive situation. I want to give you some tips and tricks on how to make your offer stand out without always having to offer a lot more money on your purchase offer. Hi, my name is Corey Lawson. I've been a real estate agent since 2018, and here are a couple of things that I like to do for my clients that help them beat out the competition when it doesn't involve them always offering more and more money. Now, I will do a caveat. Offering more money is a higher percentage chance to win. But I wanted to give you just a couple different ideas that can help your offer stand out amongst the crowd. So the first thing that I like to do is to call the listing agent and specifically ask them, what is the seller looking for other than highest price and no contingencies? Everyone knows when you are a seller, what do you want? The most amount of money, and you want no contingencies on your offer, especially when your house is getting 10, 12, 15, 20 offers at one time. But when you ask the question, what is your seller looking for other than highest price and no contingencies, you start to help uncover what the seller's motivations are. So some sellers might want to close quickly. Some sellers might want to close on the New York State 60-day transaction window and maybe have a week of post-possession. That could be really important to the seller, where they could still live in the house a week after it closes to kind of help them transition in their new place. Sometimes you'll find out that a seller might have a lot of stuff in the house that they don't want to move out. So a seller can leave things behind. That is something that helps you speak to the emotional ties that a seller might have to their home. But if you take the time to ask specifically, hey, what is it your seller wants other than price and no contingencies? Like I said, this is gonna help you uncover their real motivations. Now, other things that I like to do with my purchase offers. So when I have a client, we put together an offer, we learn what specifically the seller is looking for. We craft an offer that my client feels the most comfortable with. So oftentimes in our area, we use what's called an escalation clause. So with escalation clauses, it says, hey, we're gonna start our purchase offer at, we'll say, $250. But I'm gonna do an escalation and I will pay all the way up to $277, and I'll beat any offer by $2,000. So it's almost like a silent bid, right? Because you don't know what the other parties are bringing to the table. But with our escalation clauses, instead of doing them in increments of 5 or 10, which most people do, if you add a $2,000 onto it, it helps you edge out that competition. I know we said ways to not add more money, ways to help your offer stand out without offering more money. But this is something that you can do that just kind of tweaks your offer, that adds a little bit of detail to your offer. So if you love the house, you write the offer at $250, and then you want to do an escalation and you're thinking $275, go to $277. And I know that is offering more money, which contradicts what I said. But here's another thing that doesn't contradict what I said. When I'm a listing agent and I represent a seller and we end up in multiple offer situations, it's really interesting to see how other agents present their offers. In rare cases, they'll call me and say, hey, Corey, this is my client's offer. I wanted to go over it before I send it to you. That's great. I love that because we're building a connection. Shows me that that agent is professional. But what I also can see is some agents will just forward the Authentisign email from their client. So Authentisign is the program that allows agents to get e-signatures. So when it sends it and they just forward it to me, there's no connection. The files in each page are in separate PDFs, and it can be a little bit chaotic. So one thing that I do with my offers when I'm working for my buyer clients is when I present that offer, not only will I call them, but also I do like a cover letter in the email. So it says something like, hey, Mr. Steve, listing agent, thanks again for taking the time. My clients fell in love with this house and they love A, B, and C about the house. And then right underneath it, I'll say, here's a quick summary of what our offer looks like. And in that summary, I'll put purchase offer, down payment, the type of financing they get, when the commitment deadline is, when our estimated on or about closing deadline is, if they have an inspection or a waived inspection, and maybe any other details that are important, like if they decide to give the seller additional 7 days of post-possession. So all of those I put in the email, and I attach one PDF. That is my pet peeve. And I know it sounds silly, but when I get an email as a listing agent and I have 12 attachments and not one, it makes my job a little bit harder and a little bit tougher. I want to work with another agent who makes life easy and I know understands how to be professional and advocate for their client. So I found that a cover letter not only helps our offer stand out, but there's some listing agents who might just forward an email to the seller and let them decipher. I don't know how all agents get that purchase offer and share it with their seller. But what I'm doing is now I'm allowing ease of conversation by saying, here are the bullet points to our offer. Here's what's important. Rather than just saying, here's our purchase offer. Thanks, Corey. I go into a little bit more detail that helps the listing agent prep, especially if they're going into multiple offers. I want to convey to that listing agent that I'm easy to work with. I don't know how they're going to present the offer to the seller. And if they're just going to forward my email to the seller, now the seller has a nice cover letter. Again, I'm displaying to the listing agent that I'm easy to work with and I'm professional and I will help do what I can to get the job done and make their lives easier. So another thing that you can do without offering more money is you can actually offer a home warranty. Now, depending on where you're at, home warranties are all over the place. But what I find is in a market like Central New York right now, in April, where there's multiple offers, it ends up having a lot of waived home inspections. And my clients feel uncomfortable with that, and rightfully so. But with a home warranty, and some warranties slightly differ, but the HSA home warranty we have at Howard Hanna, a buyer can elect to purchase a warranty and that covers the seller while it's under contract. So when I present the offer, I can say, hey, look, my buyer also is purchasing a home warranty, but it covers the seller in the event that the plumbing or the electrical or the appliances fail, and we just have a service call to make and we'll get those issues remediated. So we're being proactive, we're covering some bases, especially if the house is vacant, that could be a concern. And we're just trying to create like a win-win for the seller, something that's like outside of the box. Okay, so to recap, just a couple of quick things that you could do to help your offer stand out. 1, call the listing agent, figure out what is motivating the seller outside of price and contingencies. From there, you can learn if you want to offer a post-possession, if you want to let the seller leave anything they want behind, if they need a quicker closing window, that's your time to really uncover what motivates the seller. We also talked about escalation clauses. Don't do them in just $5,000 increments. Add a 2 on it and then help bump out everyone else who's just going to 5s and 10 increments on their purchase offers. And we also talked about doing a nice cover letter or a summary with your purchase offers before you send them. Again, you want to make life easy for the listing agent. If you can show that you're easy to work with in the beginning, then it's going to help you win some brownie points with that listing agent. And that's what you need, especially when your houses are getting like 10, 15, 20 offers. I listed my friend's house just about a month ago and we ended up having 10 offers, which is pretty crazy because for one house, I wish I had 9 more houses to sell these 9 other people that want an opportunity for my friend's house. All these little details and little things start to add up when it comes to your purchase offer, and all of these things can really help your offer stand out. Oh, and I almost forgot, one other thing too. If you have a client who's shopping around with different banks and they have a couple different pre-approvals, include both those pre-approvals into your purchase offer package. So this way, at the very end, they can see, hey, this is a well-qualified buyer. They're pre-approved through ABC Bank and also qualified through LMNOP Bank. And that just helps really solidify and makes the listing agent and the seller a lot more comfortable that you're financially secure. So there's some tidbits, and I hope this helps you with your next purchase offer.